My people. How you guys doing? I am Coach Sean here with you on JMHO Sports Talk. Just my humble opinion. That's all it is. Just my humble opinion. JMHO Sports Talk on Twitter and YouTube. Please tap in with me. Thank you for tapping in today. I'm here to let you know my belief. I believe Jalen Milroe will have an All-American season in this offensive scheme. I say it again, just so you can hear me loud and clear. I believe Jalen Milroe will have an All-American season in this offensive scheme. I believe that. I do believe that. I have a lot of faith in what Jalen is going to do in a competent offense. Not saying last year wasn't competent, but I mean an offense that actually extenuates him to his strengths and does things that will help him. A lot of pinning, pulling in the run game, extenuating the run game, really slashing inside outside zone, picking on the safety in the pass game, a lot of pass routes, a lot of different concepts wrapped into pass options. Now, obviously, the volume of pass game that Coach Deboer had at Washington, I'm not really sure how that works into Alabama, but I do appreciate the fact that he will put Jalen in an opportunity, will put Jalen to have opportunities to throw competent routes into defensive formations that will, to my humble opinion, be behind us one step the entire game. This offense obviously will give Jalen an opportunity to run one play, 7 different formation wise, 7 different ways, 7 different kinds of formations to line up to run the same play, right? You won't be able just to play one coverage against Jalen and think that will affect him, right? Now, Jalen's athleticism. We all know Jalen's athleticism is absolutely outstanding, and I do believe his athleticism will be more to the team's benefit than to the team's detriment. Because of how dynamic he is, man. We all know physicality is important, no matter what the league, no matter which conference you come from. We all understand that physicality is finite when you're playing this game of football that we all enjoy so much. And I think the physicality of the offense in what they do will bring value to Jalen Milroe's game. A competent run game, right? Getting these running backs involved the way that we know we can will help. Pre-snap motion will help. I think Jalen is going to have an outstanding season and be the true distributor of the football. We want to distribute the football to all our skill position players, right? We want to extenuate the running backs, wide receivers, tight ends as well. Now, we know Michael Penix had a season where that kid threw for, 4,900 yards, over 4,900 yards. I think he threw for 9,000 yards, a little over 9,000 yards in 2 seasons. But I think his completion percentage was around 65%, 65.4%. That's very important. Miro, in his first year as a starter, threw for a little over 2,800 yards. I think it was 2,834 to be exact. 23 touchdowns, and his completion percentage was 65.8%, with 531 on the ground and another 12 touchdowns. So when you look at Penix, this guy threw for, I think he had 555 attempts, 500 pass attempts, right? Jalen Milroe didn't even throw for 300. He didn't even throw 300. He didn't even have 300 pass attempts. So I think they'll meet somewhere in the middle. And I think this kid is going to have an outstanding season. It's been a lot of haters out there of Milroe, and I don't really understand why, considering that our offensive line gave up the most sacks in the history of Alabama football, to my knowledge, right? Not saying it's nobody's fault, but at the same point in time, we still were 1 game away from going to the national championship. 1 game. The team that barely beat us in overtime won the whole damn thing. So say what you want, but this kid is on pace to have an outstanding season. Coach Deboer said it best. Coach Deboer said during the spring, Miro got better in processing, going through his progressions, being more disciplined with his footwork, tying the footwork into the timing and having a better clock that you need to have internally in your head, as the game goes on, having that internal clock to let you know, boom, I'm holding the ball too long, boom, let me get rid of this thing, right? He got better at that, and that's what you want to see from your starter. Progression, getting better, things that will help him and help us during the course of the season. Now, what else is going to help us, Coach Sean? Let me be the one to tell you. The running game. The running game. This running game with Justice Haynes, with Jam Miller, with all of the running backs, Richard Young, Daniel Hill, Kevin Riley, all these kids that can tote that rock, man. This running game will absolutely be finite for us. I think the running backs will be used better this year. I think these guys will provide a better I think this offense will provide them a better chance of being successful with a lot of pinning and pulling and misdirections, a lot of directional things that a lot of teams just can't prepare for. I believe that. I think this running game is going to help Jalen Milroe exponentially, right? The running game coming from Coach Deboer's offense, man, it provides a lot of different looks. This running game provides a lot of different looks, man. They'll throw more looks at you than they will volume of actually running the football. Jalen will have opportunities to make the defensive line hesitate, right? When you play this type of offense with all the different looks, all these different formations, all these different pinning and pulling, all these different pre-snap motion and things of that nature, it doesn't allow the defense to pin their ears back and just come after you. It makes the defense have to hesitate just for a split second. You have to hesitate sometimes before you take yourself out of position. This type of offense, you'll look up in a game, Jalen takes a 3-step drop and hits a speed out or out route for 12 yards, 13 yards, 15 yards, right? You'll look up, Jalen will hit a 5-step drop for what I love and my favorite route for that post corner. I think Jalen will have an outstanding season with this type of thing. This type of offense is what Jalen needs, and you still have to take into account his feet, his legs, whatever you want to call it. When the play breaks down, nobody's open. Jalen can absolutely kill you with his legs, man. We had a lot of that last season on 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2. I thought we should have kept the ball. I thought Jalen should have just made something happen with his feet, but he was trying to make something happen out of the pocket. Sometimes we got sacks out of that. Sometimes the play just wasn't there. Sometimes receivers didn't separate from their defensive back. Sometimes Jalen just held the ball too long. It was a multitude of things that caused those sacks on several occasions. Sometimes offensive linemen would just get beat, right? What helps all of that? What helps all of that, Coach Sean? Misdirection. Doing something to get the linebackers out of position, to keep those defensive linemen at bay on 3rd down, to really get them to look in to see what's going on, right? The complexity of Coach Deboer's scheme, to me, outweighs the execution. What I mean by that? The complexity of how this guy draw up offense. To me, it sometimes outweighs the execution. Sure, we all know the execution is imperative, right? But with the way this guy drew up offense, man, I'm not saying you could put anybody out there and have success. I'm just saying that sometimes the complexity of what this guy draw up and how they ran it at Washington was outstanding. Virtually at times unstoppable. Now, I give credit to Roma Dunze and all those great wide receivers who went 1st round. None but credit to those guys, and I'm taking nothing from those guys. But sometimes these guys will be running wide open, right? It's a reason for that. The scheme, the schematic draw up of this offense. So I'm looking forward to that. The basis of their run game, guys, that Jalen will have an advantage is the run scheme is predicated off misdirection. You implement that with a quarterback like Jalen Milroe, who throw deep routes exceptionally well, the post corner exceptionally well, the fade exceptionally well, the post. That's one middle route that he did throw well, the deep post. You add all these things to Jalen's repertoire on a regular basis. Success is right around the corner, man. I believe Jalen Milroe will have an All-American season in this offensive scheme. A lot of haters out there, man. We're not asking him to run high-low on 3rd and 2. We're not asking him to go from 1 to 2, 2 to 3, 3. We're not asking him to look for his 3rd read before you let it go, before you do something. This offense is based off getting the ball out of the quarterback hands exceptionally quick. Exceptionally quick, man. So you bring pressure if you want to. You line up in one safety high, single safety high, if you want to. Right? Jalen now will have the option to throw a gang of different looks at the defense. This offense as a whole would throw an outstanding amount of different looks at the defense, make them have to cover a bunch of different things at one time, right? Make these guys try to line up in 2 over 1. Make this defense really try to cover a lot of things from play to play. I love it. It's not just one thing you can do. It's not just one coverage you'll be able to play against Jalen now. Let's just spy him. Let's just play zone, keep everything in front of us, and we'll be fine. Okay, try that. Coupled with the misdirection of the run game with 2 great backs, along with Jalen Milroe's legs and a competent pass game, a competent offense. This offense is destined for great things, man. Mark it down. Here's the thing. If it's one route that I know Jalen can throw with his eyes closed, it's that post corner. It's that post and post. It's that deep post and post corner, right? It's that wide receiver pushing to the post. And if he's running that corner, catch the defensive back in the right position, letting him put his foot in the ground and attack the corner. Attack the corner. That's a route that I believe Jalen can throw with his eyes closed, man. I don't have any reservations of Jalen throwing that route at all. This offense lives off that route, right? The running game, while not a lot of volume at Washington, they throw a lot of different looks at you. So Jalen will be just fine. This offense will give Jalen competent routes, man, trips or 3 bunch, right? With the slot running a post corner, the X running a deep dig at that. And then the middle guy running what we call that slow arrow. We didn't do anything of the sort last year. Not even anything close to this. This will give Jalen competent routes that these guys have to cover, right? Which will they'll how can I say it? They'll devote resources to covering these receivers, more personnel to stopping these routes, whether the receiver is successful or not, which will open up the run game, whether it be for Jalen, Justice, or Jam, or any of the other great backs. Again, this offense would not allow you to play one basic coverage on Jalen. They have a lot of man and zone beaters. Right? Last year, not the case so much, in my humble opinion. Last year was a lot of heavy tight end sets, a lot of repetitive, the same type of play, not really mixing it up. Even when we spread you out last year, it was very limited in what we did. Now, it worked against some of your lesser defenses. It worked against LSU, worked against Texas A&M, worked against Kentucky, right? So, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, Jalen had a 28-1 quarterback to touchdown to interception ratio. So it wasn't all bad last year, man. It wasn't all bad. But at the same time, the consistency just wasn't there, guys. And I think this year with Coach Deboer, with the way this guy schemes up his plays, with the way this guy's calls his plays, I think Jalen Milroe is going to have a Heisman season. Now, you can say I'm a blind fan or whatever you want to call it, but I'm being astronomically positive and trying my best to be real. I think Jalen will grow exponentially in this competent offense, man. Right? It will extenuate what Jalen does best. I think it will be very similar to what we've seen from Jaden Daniels. We had Jaden Daniels at LSU. Very good quarterback the first year, beat us with his legs in overtime. The next season, Jaden Daniels had an absolute outstanding passing game, a competent passing game to go along with his legs. Everything that he did the previous year with his legs worked into how you played him. So the guy absolutely destroyed you with his arm. I think Jalen Milroe will have a very similar season. I think Jalen Milroe will be one of the best quarterbacks in the country, if not the best. I think Jalen Milroe will gobble this offense up. I think he's comfortable in what Coach Deboer wants him to do. And the receivers, I think these guys will step up. Now, is there a Rome Odunze on this roster? I don't know yet. But what I can tell you is these guys will be put in a position to make plays more than they have in the last couple of seasons. Jalen Milroe will be the catapult to this. He will be the forefather or the leader of this offense. It all starts with the offensive line. These guys are doing what they have to do to get into shape to play a different brand of offense. Jalen Milroe is the trigger man. Jalen Milroe will make this offense what it is to be. You saw a small sample of that in A-Day. Now, I know it's just a spring game, but it does show you the style of offense that Coach KD wants. Spread them out. A lot of formations, a lot of different route combinations, right? Extenuate the route tree, right? Run that deep dig, and instead of just running the dig, really attack that route at the top of the route. Don't make the quarterback just throw you open. Really attack that thing at the top of the route. Pick on that safety. Get open, a la Devontae Smith. Jalen Milroe will have an All-American season this year in this game. You heard it here first. Well, I can't say I'm first. It's a lot of content creators that are saying the same things I'm saying. I understand the doubt from some of you. I get it. But I just want you to understand, at times last year, we did not run a competent offense, man. It wasn't very competent, if you know what I mean. I think Coach KD understands the type of quarterback he has behind center, and I think he will extenuate that. Thank you guys for tapping in, man. Support Jalen Milroe. This kid's going to have an outstanding season this year. I really believe that. Shout out to Jalen Milroe, man, and his great family. You know what I'm saying? Looking forward to seeing you this year, seeing you this season, young buck. And I want you to go out and prove all the haters wrong, man. Roll Tide to you all. Big Lank, right? The truth is always in the details, man. Never forget that. Roll Tide to you all. And thank you for tapping in.